a book entitled Road to Norway by Pauline O. Carolyn.
The voices outside the lorry were loud and angry. Maria began to cry.
I'm frightened, Max.
She said. Maxim put his arm around his younger sister and said,
It will be okay. What are they saying out there?
Someone asked him. Maxim could speak 4 languages, and French was one of them.
There's trouble,
he said.
Be quiet so I can listen.
The Moldovan men, women, and children lay quietly in the dark. They were under a false floor in the back of the lorry. Maxim put his ear against the side of the lorry and listened carefully.
Well?
A voice asked out of the dark.
We are turning back. We're going to have to try another way, said
Maxim.
Another lorry of the Dover ferry was stopped. They found a group of people hidden behind bags of potatoes. The police are checking every lorry.
Ah,
said a different voice.
So we are on the road to nowhere.
Maxim thought.
Most of the Chinese people in the other lorry are dead. They were truly on the road to nowhere. But he didn't tell the others. They were all in a trap and there was no way out. Nick Bennett and his parents sat in the kitchen and ate their dinner silently. No one spoke at dinner time except to say, pass the butter and thank you. Mr. Bennett, Nick's father, liked to listen to the radio news. Nick's dog Zip lay at his feet. The dog still beat against the leg of Nick's chair. Zip was hoping Nick would drop a piece of meat onto the floor for him. The newsreader on the radio began another story.
This morning, 16 people were arrested by police in London and Kent. The police believe that they are people smugglers and have smuggled thousands of people into the United Kingdom over the last 2 years. The illegal immigrants were brought into the country by air, by sea, and in vans and lorries. The people smugglers were arrested after 36 Chinese were found dead in the lorry on the Dover ferry yesterday.
I hope those people smugglers get locked up for a long time,
said Mr. Bennett.
Nick, a boy who aspires to travel the world, is the son to farmer Mr. Bennett. However, his father does not respect his passion for studying abroad.
Frustrated, Nick left a note for Mrs. Bennett, took his dog Zip, and headed towards the beach. They were nearly at the beach when Nick saw headlights in the distance.
Nick watched the headlights come closer. A car drove slowly down the lane and onto the beach. It was pulling a boat on a trailer behind it. The car reversed until the trailer was in the water. The driver got out and went around to the back of the car. After a few minutes, the boat slid into the water. The driver got back into the car and drove it out, away from the water, then stopped and get out.
Nick walked onto the beach. As he got closer, the man noticed him and called, Who's there? Nick recognized the man in the moonlight. He turned off his torch and said, Hello, Mr. Mason. Oh, it's you, Nick, said the man. What are you doing here? I'm just taking Zip for a walk before I do my homework, said Nick. You should go home if you want to get that homework done, said Mr. Mason. Yeah, good night, Mr. Mason. Nick continued his journey home. He had told his father about what happened, and Mr. Bennett seemed worried about the situation involving Mr. Mason.
The suspicious boat that Nick saw turned out to carry the Moldovans, and they were smuggled illegally. Among them, there were siblings, Maxim and Maria. They were separated by a man in a blue coat called Stone. The van drove away. For the next 3 days, Nick often thought about the people seen at the beach that night. At the weekend, he helped his parents on the farm. He shot to his again, but old food cut out and his father didn't want to talk.
After school on Monday, Nick stood at the bus stop. It was another wet day. The bus was late. Nick looked up the travel agency across the bus stop. He saw something move in a window above the travel agency. A girl was looking down at the street. When she saw that Nick was watching her, she quickly closed the curtains. Strange girl, thought Nick.
Meanwhile, Maxim was in a van with other guys that were being taken away. The van swerved and fell over, causing an accident. Coincidentally, Nick was around the block and he had met Nick. They exchanged brief conversations. Maxim had asked Nick to help find his sister, Maria, and only managed to utter the word "fawn" before he passed out. Nick called the police to help the injured, but by the time they arrived, everyone was gone and there was only the van left. Mr. Mason somehow found out that Nick had told the police these allegations and decided to go to the Bennett's house to tell them not to interfere.
After a few days, as he was walking down the street, Nick saved a little girl who was almost run over by a car. Coincidentally, that little girl was Maxim's sister, Maria. She acknowledged him to be her savior and someone that his brother has met. However, Nick couldn't save her as the woman who was keeping her, Mrs. Stone, threatened her and forced Maria to follow her back to the travel agency, where she kept Maria away and treated her like a maid.
Nick finally decided to seek help from Inspector Watkins, whom interfered in solving the whole situation. Nick stalked Mrs. Stone with the help of Inspector Watkins to save Maxim. At the same time, Inspector Watkins used the opportunity to lock up Mr. Mason. Unfortunately, Mrs. Stone escaped. She rushed to the travel agency building to inform Mr. Stone about the sudden arrest. The three went to the travel agency. Max and Nick saved Maria. On the other hand, the police locked up Mr. and Mrs. Stone. Thank you.